Good evening, YouTube. I am Felicity from Penguin Teen, and I am your host tonight for our amazing preview show. Now, I know for many of you, you've had to drag yourself away from Shadow and Bone on Netflix. I agree, me too, I had to pause. But we thank you for coming to the show where you're going to hear about some of our biggest books of 2021 from not only other Penguin Teen staff members, but from some of our authors themselves. So before we do that, I need to introduce the rest of the team of Penguin Teen who are going to be talking about all of our 2021 titles. And that includes the lovely Cara, the amazing James, and the fantastic Liana. And as you can see, our ASL interpreting team is going to be joining us tonight. We've got Lynn on camera, and then she'll be switching over later with Susanna, who will be helping us with ASL interpretation. But enough about all of the setup. We hope you enjoy some of the titles we're going to talk about. I'm going to hand it over to James to lead us for our first title that's coming out very soon.
Thanks, Felicity. So I'm starting us off tonight with the Anthropocene Reviewed. This is an adult book and not YA, but we're kicking things off here for all the John Green fans tuning in. The Anthropocene Reviewed is John Green's debut collection of personal essays, which are adapted from his podcast of the same name. In these essays, John Green offers insight into his writing career from the real-life locations in Indianapolis that inspired Looking from Alaska, to what it was like for him to sign the very first edition of The Fault in Our Stars, to why he decided to launch his podcast after he finished writing Turtles All the Way Down. This book is perfect for John Green fans everywhere, as well as anyone who's ever been touched by the power of a story. And next, I'll pass it over to Liana.
Hi, everyone. So next up, we have Gail Foreman with We Are Inevitable, and she returns with another heartfelt contemporary novel. Aaron Stein used to think books were miracles, but not after he lost his brother, his mom left, and all his friends deserted him. Literally, the only book Aaron can bear to read is about the extinction of dinosaurs, even though he spends his days working in his family's crumbling bookstore. So when Aaron sees the opportunity to sell the store, he jumps at it, thinking this is the only way out. But he never accounts for the people he meets along the way, and all of them will help Aaron to come to terms with what he's lost, what he's found, and show him that destruction doesn't inevitably lead to extinction. Sometimes it leads to the creation of something entirely new. We Are Inevitable is perfect for fans of Sarah Dessen, Elisabeth Acevedo, and will inevitably go on sale this June. And now I'll pass it back to James.
Love that pun, Liana. Thank you. So, 15-year-old Spencer Harris is a proud nerd who happens to be transgender, and he wants nothing more than to play on the soccer team at his new high school. There's also a romantic spark between him and one of his new teammates. But when a discriminatory law forces Spencer's coach to bench him, Spencer must decide whether to cheer his team on from the sidelines or publicly fight for his right to play. This is ultimately a feel-good, contemporary enemies to lovers sports romance, and it's out in June. Next up, we have author Cameron Lund, who will share a little bit about her upcoming fake dating romance, Heartbreakers and Fakers.
Hi, y'all West. This is Cameron Lund, author of The Best Laid Plans and the upcoming Heartbreakers and Fakers, which is out on June 8th. Heartbreakers and Fakers is a YA contemporary rom-com about a popular girl named Penny who ruins everything when she wakes up the morning after the first day of summer party and realizes she kissed her best friend's boyfriend, Kai, the night before. When Penny and Kai both get dumped, they decide that the best way to save their relationships is to convince their friends they're actually dating and have real feelings for each other. After all, no one can resist a good love story, and maybe seeing Penny and Kai together will make their exes jealous and change their minds. But as the summer continues and fake feelings start to turn real, Penny has to decide if getting back her old life is what she really wants. I hope you'll check it out.
This next book is such a beloved book that Joy from Penguin Teen is such a big fan of this series that even though she's currently on vacation right now, she absolutely refused to allow anyone else to talk about The Cruelest Mercy by Natalie May. So I'll hand it to Joy.
Hello everybody, it's Joy from Penguin Teen here, aka your personal hype person for The Kinder Poison, but more importantly, The Cruelest Mercy. I probably said it a million times, but The Kinder Poison was in like my top 2 reads for 2020. I loved it so much. The Cruelest Mercy is coming out this June, and it is just as amazing, if not more amazing. I'm just going to tell you about it. In case you're new to The Kind Your Poison, it follows a girl who finds herself in the very inconvenient position of human sacrifice amongst 3 royals who are all competing for the throne, including 2 very handsome princes who both think she's pretty cute. It's funny, it's royal fantasy, it's enemies to lovers, there's a love triangle, there's so much, it's magical. The Cruelest Mercy picks up after The Kind Your Poison. Zabru has, spoilers, survived the crossing and is now destined to rule at Jet's side, which is one of the princes. Except, of course, it's not that easy. So everything is going well. She's gonna rule at Jet's side. Jet's the nice prince, except when Jet is supposed to be crowned, Prince number 2 shows up and he's bad news, but we love him. And not only does Costa, Prince number 2, have the mark from the gods that proves that he's supposed to be ruling, so does she. And now these 2 enemies have to work together, and to make things worse, the kingdom is on the brink of war. So if you love enemies to lovers, this has everything. Remember to mark your TBRs for The Cruelest Mercy. Get it? Get it now. Don't make me tell you twice. Just do it.
And from one highly anticipated to another, James is going to talk about Ryan Douglas's book.
So, if you're a fan of Get Out or Saw Kill Girls, this one's for you because it's a YA social thriller with a black queer protagonist. Jake Livingston is one of the few black students at his predominantly white high school, and he can also see ghosts. As a medium, he's unfortunately used to dealing with the problems of the dead and the racism of the living. But things take a turn for the worse when Jake begins to be haunted by the ghost of a school shooter. This is a fast-paced thriller, and you'll have to wait until it comes out in July to find out whether Jake will survive high school, literally.
I can't wait for that one. The next title I want to talk about is They'll Never Catch Us, which is, if you've loved Jess Goodman's debut mystery thriller last year, They Wish They Were Us, then prepare for more of her trademark secrets, revelations, and murder books. They'll Never Catch Us centers on the Steckler sisters, Stella and Ellie, who are wildly different except for their competitive running. When new girl Mila comes to town, who's also a competitive runner, each sister is drawn to her. But with college scholarships on offer, friendships will be forgotten, and when Mila goes missing, all eyes turn to the Steckler sisters. This is that perfect combination of evil friendships, evil sisters, mixed with ambition and drive, that all builds to deadly consequences.
Next up, we have Stephanie Perkins return with another blood-chilling contemporary horror novel with The Woods Are Always Watching, on sale August 3rd. In this story, 2 girls go backpacking deep in the forests of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and things go very wrong when their paths collide with a serial killer. This novel is the perfect companion to Stephanie's New York Times bestseller, There's Someone Inside Your House, which is soon to be a Netflix feature. And if you know Stephanie from her more romantic side of novels like Anna and the French Kiss, I encourage you to fall in love with Stephanie's spooky side in this new read. And now back to Liana.
Amanda's father has been gone for a long time, since before Amanda was even born, and even her mother's memories of him is hazy. Actually, many of her mother's memories from before Amanda was born are hazy. It's just one of the many reasons people in Sugartown give them strange looks. That and the fact that her mother is white and Amanda is black. When Amanda finds a mysterious address in the bottom of her mother's handbag, along with a large amount of cash, she decides it's finally time to get answers about her mother's life. What she discovers will change the shape and the size of her family forever, but with her best friends at her side, Amanda is ready to take on anything. Sugartown Queens is a stunning portrait of a family divided and a powerful story of friendship, and will be available this August. And bring it back to Felicity.
The ending, no spoilers, for Goddess in the Machine was so epic, so twisty, and so amazingly jaw-droppingly wild that there isn't actually a lot I can tell you without spoiling the first book. So I'm just going to firstly use my time to beg you all to read Goddess in the Machine, a truly, truly amazing sci-fi adventure that has sharp banter, the best I hate you so much villains, and plot twists that will honestly leave you shook, and an enemies to lovers romance that is perfection. What I can hint at for the conclusion of this duology is power has gone to someone's head. Someone is hearing voices telling them to do very bad things, and Serena remains the absolute worst. She should be friends with the Commandant from An Ember in the Ashes. If you loved the Cinder series by Marissa Meyer, then Goddess in the Machine and its sequel coming this August, this should be your very next read. And I'll hand it back to James.
Thanks, Felicity. And I actually have the manuscript of Devil in the Device on my iPad, so I will be reading it this weekend after I finish Shadow and Bone, and I look forward to many more people being able to read it when it comes out in August. So to talk about Both Sides Now, in addition to the Passing Playbook, I'm very excited that we have another YA coming out this year with a trans protagonist. Finch Kelly, whom you can see on the cover, is one of my favorite protagonists of all time. He's witty, and he's a master at speech and debate, and because of that, I have no illusions about the fact that I would lose any and every single argument to him. It's his senior year, and speech and debate is his pathway to getting a full-ride college scholarship that he desperately needs to one day fulfill his dream of becoming the first trans U.S. congressman. But the topic of this year's national tournament is transgender rights, which means Finch might have to argue against his own humanity. This is a witty and warm-hearted contemporary that's perfect for fans of red, white, and royal blue, and it shows that as Finch is about to discover, some things, like who you are and whom you love, are not up for debate. And next up, we have author Ginny Sain here to tell us about her upcoming supernatural thriller, Dark and Shallow Lies.
Hi, I'm Ginny Sain. I'm the author of Dark and Shallow Lies, which is a story that asks the question, how do you keep a secret in a town full of psychics? When her twin flame disappears from tiny La Cachette, Louisiana, Gray has a really hard time believing that nobody there knows what happened, especially since La Cachette bills itself as the psychic capital of the world. But as Gray starts to dig into the truth about what happened the night Alora went missing out in the bayou, she has to deal with long-buried generational secrets, as well as questions about the people she loves most in the world. She also has to deal with the ripple effects of grief and loss, and with an emerging psychic ability of her own that she never asked for and definitely never wanted. And then, just when things seem like they can't get any more confusing, a mysterious stranger emerges out of the bayou. A beautiful, stormy-eyed boy with all the power of the sea and the sky. A boy who threatens to upend everything Gray thought she knew about the past and about the future. This is a really dark and twisty mystery. It has a very unusual setting that is really close to my own heart. And it does feature a giant alligator named Willie Nelson, who is one of my very favorite characters. So just in case you don't have a psychic ability of your own, I want to let you know that Dark and Shallow Lies will be available August 31st from Razorbill Books. And Willie Nelson, the alligator, and I, we both really hope you'll pick up a copy.
I can tell you now that Dark and Shallow Lies should absolutely be on your TBR. And now I'll hand over to James for another book that you should be anticipating hotly.
So, Hello From Here is a thought-provoking contemporary romance that will speak to anyone who's attempted social distance dating over the past year. Written in dual points of view, it follows two teens, Maxine and Jonah, who meet right as their home state of California is going into lockdown at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's equally thoughtful and heartwarming, and it's also a story of resilience as it examines mental health during the pandemic. And now I'll pass it over to Liana to talk about a book with one of my favorite titles of all time, The Corpse Queen.
Okay, so everyone at Penguin Teen knows that I am not really a historical fiction reader, and usually I'm not. But The Corpse Queen by Heather M. Herman had me hooked from the very beginning. When 17-year-old Molly Green is sent away to live with her estranged aunt, she soon finds out that her aunt is exceedingly wealthy and has many, many secrets, all of which she intends to share for a price. Aunt Ava has built her entire empire by robbing graves and selling the corpses to medical students who needed bodies to practice surgical procedures. And she wants Molly's help to gather the corpses. And as Molly learns her aunt's trade in the dead of night, she finds herself very intrigued by the anatomy lessons held at the old church on her aunt's property. But the cost of inclusion is steep, and with the murderer loose in the city, the pursuit of power and opportunity becomes a deadly dance. This is a dark and twisty historical thriller and literally had me at the edge of my seat. Perfect for fans of Renee Audier's The Beautiful series, The Corpse Queen will be available this September. And now here's Elisabet Velasquez to talk about a book I hold very close to my heart, When We Make It.
Hey y'all, my name is Elisabet Velasquez, and I'm going to be reading a poem from my upcoming novel in verse, When We Make It. This poem is called 116th Street Festival. It's the second Saturday in June. The Puerto Rican Day Parade is tomorrow, but everybody knows that the festival is where we get to shine. Lala and I are decked out head to toe in the flag, but it's not enough. So we walk over to a man people keep calling Oye Papo, who's selling Puerto Rican flag necklaces out of a shopping cart. We just know we gotta have 1, 2, 3. Nah, that's too much. Oh, snap, Papa got whistles and bandanas. We copping that too. Lala buys a top hat striped with the flag that kind of makes her look like a Puerto Rican Mad Hatter. We bop down the streets like we trying to prove something to somebody. We stop to watch a couple of OGs dance to El Gran Combo's Un Verano en Nueva York. We can't dance salsa, so Lala and I clap and lean our bodies towards the boombox. The dancing couple nods our way, a salute to the way Lala and I wave our flag-drenched bodies towards their swing. The woman grabs her long skirt, a flag of her own, and waves it back towards us. I don't know if it was the long skirt or if it was the way she seemed to be possessed by some spirit, holy or other. But for a second, the woman turns into mommy, and it is so good to see her dancing and not worrying about bills or food. It's so good to see a crowd around her as if she were a god we all gathered to worship. I clap a little harder than I would at church, excited to see the possibility of freedom right in front of me. This is the rapture I wait for.
And from one amazing verse poet to another. Liana?
During the inauguration, Amanda Gorman captured the world with her reading of The Hill We Climb. And in her new book, The Hill We Climb and Other Poems, not only does it include that riveting poem, but this collection also reveals an energizing and unforgettable new voice in American poetry. We absolutely cannot wait for Amanda's new book to hit shelves this September. And next, here we have Ayana Gray to talk about her fantasy book, Beasts of Prey.
Hi, my name is Ayana Gray, and I am the author of the upcoming book, Beasts of Prey, a young adult fantasy novel following 2 black teens who venture into a magical jungle to hunt down the monster that's been menacing their home for nearly a century. I like to tell people it's a story full of monsters, mythos, and black girl magic, which is true, but it's also a story full of things that I love in YA, like enemies to lovers, plot twists, family secrets, and an inappropriate joke or 5. I am so excited. It comes out September 28th, 2021, and if it sounds like your jam, I hope you get the chance to read it. Bye!
I can't wait for Beasts of Prey, and I know so many of you out there are also hotly anticipating it. But another title that I'm going to admit to, I will absolutely admit to being a Christmas movie fanatic. I have my list of favourite tropes, enemies to working together to saving a hotel, bakery, Christmas tree town, farm, to I love you. I have my preferred snacks, which is a hot chocolate, and the gooey chocolate chip cookies, and my preferred clothing, sweatpants, and a blanket wrapped around me, and maybe a beanie. But I've been missing in my holiday heart a new Christmas YA book, and now we have it. From the screenwriter of the Christmas movie classic, The Spirit of Christmas, which is the hot ghost that haunts the inn that the red-headed lawyer is trying to sell and only appears to people for 12 days of Christmas. It's amazing. You need to go and watch it. Comes So This Is Christmas. Finley Brown is home from boarding school to her hometown of Christmas, Oklahoma, and she doesn't expect much to change since she's been away, except her parents are separated, her best friend is dating her ex, and her arch nemesis is now working at her grandmother's inn. To make it worse, the boy she tricked into believing that her town was a festive wonderland has arrived, and she needs to show him the magic. This book will get you in the holiday spirit from October onwards. And now I'll hand over to Cara.
New from the author of Something Happened to Allie Greenleaf comes another searing novel that follows one girl caught between 2 toxic worlds. Shade and Jadis are everything to each other. So when Shade unexpectedly joins the cheerleading team, Jadis can hardly recognize who her best friend is becoming. Shade finds herself drawn to the three Chloes, the insufferable trio that rules the squad, including the cheer captain, who has a dark side that's as compelling as it is alarming. Jadis won't give up Shade so easily, though, and the pull between her old best friend and her new two mates takes a toll on Shade as she tries to forge her own path. So, when one of the cheerleaders dies under mysterious circumstances, Shade is determined to get to the bottom of her death. The Fallen Girls is a compelling exploration of the layered, intoxicating relationships between teen girls, and the unique love that is felt at a friendship's breaking point. It's for fans of Girls in Pieces and Nina LaCour. The Fallen Girls is available on October 5th. And next up, I'll hand it to Liana.
Thanks, Kara. In her old town, Huda knew exactly who she was. She was the hijabi girl. But when her family packs up and moves to Dearborn, Michigan, a small town with a big Muslim population, Huda can't really rely on her hijab to define her anymore. So she tries on a bunch of different cliques and notices she doesn't fit in with any of them. She's miscellaneous, which makes her feel like no one at all, until she realizes that it'll take finding out who she isn't to figure out who she is. This is a cheeky, hilarious, and honest graphic novel that asks the question everyone has to figure out for themselves. Huda FRU is available on November 2nd, and I'll bring it back to Felicity.
Okay, Renee Artier turned the world upside down in The Damned, the sequel to her historical fiction gothic vampire series, The Beautiful. For Celine and Bastian, the star-crossed pair from the first two novels, love at all costs became literal, with betrayal, magic, and even death attempting to divide them. Without saying too much, The Beautiful and The Damned, as we head into The Righteous, Celine is missing, and Pippa is determined to find her, but that means aligning herself with the charismatic Ajun Desai, Bastian's most trusted friend. The one big hint I have from Renee is that Renee told me herself this book has an excellent use of the one bed only available trope, and I am ready for that. If you love not only vampires, but werewolves, fae, shapeshifters, and more, set in a world of luxury and lushness alongside powerful women, then get into The Beautiful now and be ready for The Righteous to hit shelves this December. And now I'll hand over to Kara for another vampire tale.
That's right. We're going to keep the paranormal train rolling. This is the new book from the author of These Witches Don't Burn, which is about a girl with a cursed touch and the vampire she feels a growing attraction towards. Elise is cursed. With every touch, she experiences exactly how her loved ones will die. And after her brother's death, she is desperate to get rid of her terrible gift, no matter the cost. Then Claire is a vampire, and she's been assigned to help Elise master her rare powers. At first, Elise is reluctant to work with a vampire, but when she predicts the teacher's imminent murder, she's determined to work with Claire to stop the violent death. Trouble is, they aren't the only paranormals in town. A killer is stalking the streets, and Claire can't seem to shake the pull she feels towards Elise, a romance that could upend her mission. But as they begin to grow closer, Elise begins to wonder, can she really trust someone tasked with securing her loyalty? The Cruelest Touch is the high-stakes and steamy queer paranormal romance that's perfect for fans of vampire heavy hitters like Renee Audier, Rochelle Mead, and Stephanie Meyer, and it's available on December 7th. And then I'm going to keep it going with one surprise treat for everybody. We have the cover for Margot Mertz Takes It Down.
Woo!
We just received this hours ago, and we're so excited to share it here at Y'all West for the first time. This cover perfectly reflects the read. Margot Mertz is a sassy and ambitious Veronica Mars type who runs an internet cleanup business and embarks on a quest to take down a revenge porn site targeting the girls in her school. With the help of an unwitting ally, the popular and uncomfortably handsome Avery Green, Margot gains access to all the cliques of Roosevelt High, and she'll do anything to find those responsible for running the website. But the more she digs, the deeper and darker the case becomes, until Margot realizes that some jobs are so dirty that no one can come away clean. So please pick up this biting and hilarious novel on November 2nd and enjoy the new cover. We're so excited it's here.
Woo! That is so amazing. And that's our show. It's a short, sharp, exciting show full of all of our 2021 reads. So if you missed something, go back. Watch this again. There's lots to add to TBR. There's vampires, there's werewolves, there's romance, there's first novel poetry that will lift your heart and spirit, and there's some amazing books we haven't even talked about yet. So be sure to keep following us on Penguin Teen across all of our social channels. And I want to thank Cara, James, and Liana from Penguin Teen for presenting just some of their favourites. And I also want to thank Susanna and Lynn, our ASL interpreters, who are here tonight helping us. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend for Yale West, and we hope to see you soon on Penguin Teen. Bye, everyone.